We're going to close out our week concerning promises given to us in relationship to prayer by going to the book of Matthew chapter 7 and listening to some of the words that come from the lips of Jesus. Jesus was one who prayed often. He set the example of prayer, the model of prayer. And he taught us to pray. We know of the Lord's Prayer where the disciples ask, teach us to pray. And so we have that instruction from him. And he gave us a number of other things about prayer. But in Matthew chapter 7, he talks also about some promises. Remember, we're talking about promises, some promises in relationship to prayer. And he does it in a very beautiful way in verse 7. He says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and him who knocks, it will be open. So here's his set of promises here. He calls on us to come before him in prayer. And as we do so, and he uses three different descriptions to ask, to seek, and to knock, I don't know if there's an intensity level building up here or not. I don't know if we want to push it that far. But obviously, this is a true sincere prayer. Someone is coming before the Lord and they're asking and they're seeking the answers. They're knocking at the door. This is all showing the earnestness of this prayer that's going forth. And those who ask receive, he says. And those who seek find, and those who knock will find the door opened. And so the Lord is not resistant. I think sometimes we get the idea that the Lord really doesn't want to answer our prayers. He's kind of playing some kind of a spiritual hide and seek from us. He wants us to be constantly bewildered and so forth. But we don't find that to be true biblically. We find him anxious to answer our prayers. He wants us to come before him and seek him and knock at that door. And he promises that we'll find good reception from him. And then he goes on to give an illustration of just what that would look like. He said, or what man is there among you who, when his son asks for a loaf, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, he'll give him a snake. If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will the Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? So his illustration is showing the kindness and the graciousness of a God who wants to answer our prayers. Once again, because of bad teaching or just natural sinful thinking, we sometimes get the idea of God as a very, very harsh and very, very hard. And he really doesn't want to answer prayers. He really doesn't want to be bothered by us. I've seen television shows where some person says, Lord, I haven't bothered you in prayer for 20 years, and I won't bother you again for 20 years if you do this for me. That person doesn't understand God. The Lord wants to hear our petitions. He wants us to come before him. And giving this wonderful example, if a beloved son comes to you and they want a loaf of bread, they want something to eat, what kind of person gives them a rock? Only a hard-hearted person, right? And if they ask for a fish, again, something to eat, who gives them a snake that could turn on them and bite them? Only the meanest, cruelest of people. So people don't do that unless they are very demented in some way. Most fathers, most mothers are going to give what they can, the gracious gifts they can. And so he applies it and says, if you being evil, knowing that our nature, even the best of us, even the righteous, still have that propensity for sin, if we know how to give good gifts to our children, then how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? If we can figure out what gifts are good and give them to the ones that we love, and we do so because we want to, if we can do that, then think about the infinitely loving, righteous, perfect, holy God and what he wants to give those who are his children when they come and ask for those things. So don't be hesitant, he's saying. Don't hold back. Don't pull back. Don't be afraid. Come before him, asking, seeking, and knocking, and he's promised to give us those things that we petition. And he's not saying here he gives us every little whim that we want. Many things are not good for us, just like our children might ask for things that are not good for them. and a loving parent doesn't give that to them. But those things that are in his will, those things that are he sees and knows are good for us, then he will answer in a positive way. And if he says no, he only says no because it's not good for us to have those things. Come to him in prayer. And so he has many promises that we've looked at this week. I trust these are helpful to you as you think about prayer. And I hope it causes you and I to be greater warriors in prayer, to come before him with our petitions. We will see you next week. I hope you can join us as we look at some more promises found in God's Word.